Coming up this week on Arizona Illustrated, stories about and from fathers. Fatherhood 101, art and unconditional love, and our favorite place this week, El Tiradito. Hello, I'm Tom McNamara. Welcome to a special Father's Day edition of Arizona Illustrated. Just what is it that makes a good father? For all you dads out there, at what moment did you realize you were a father? And we put those questions and more to several people, and here's what they had to say.
When someone finds out you're going to be a father, you get a lot of unsolicited advice, which is fine. One of the things people kept saying to me was like, well, it grow really fast, and make sure that you spend the time and enjoy it because it goes fast. And you know, before I had a child, I just always thought, well, you have a baby and you just have this baby for a really long time, but you really don't. They do grow fast.
My dad was a keg delivery driver, like as far back as I can remember. My dad always had these crazy calloused worked hands. And when I was super young and being tucked into bed, I would always like look at his hands and it was like leather. I remember it was like, man, like you could like burn cigarettes out in his calluses. They were just like man hands, you know. Later on down the road and started playing a lot more drums. And like one day I looked at my hands and it was like, oh crap, like I have the same hands as my dad. Like I can look at pictures of my dad and it's like, this is the same hair my dad had, you know. So like that's pretty cool. I'm all about the dad hair. Like dad bod, dad hair.
Like I would go to Hollywood with him and we'd go eat lunch and I'd have this massive crazy punk rock hair and he's just like, whatever you want to be. We were in Hollywood one night and there was a bunch of kids just coming out of somewhere. And my dad and I were just walking around and I saw all these kids with Ramones t-shirts. And I was like, oh my God. I told my dad, the Ramones were playing. And he goes, what? What are you talking about? Who's that? He was like, who's the Ramones?
He'd weigh in at 220 and he could bench 500, 505. He would deadlift 720 and squat 650. So he was a well-rounded bodybuilder. So when I was a kid, I can't complain. He was really loving. And that's something that made a big impression on me because I've seen people that don't get that. So, I mean, with my son or my daughter, I mean, I probably tell them 100 times a day.
For years and years, we went to the zoo every weekend. Back past the polar bears, around the macaws, there was a tree specifically that only grew bubblegum. And I was the only one that knew about it, besides my father. And so every weekend I would go and I would get to harvest the gum. This was like our special thing. And it never cost him more than a couple of dollars, but I mean, it didn't really, you know, make a difference. It was just kind of his way of being there and making my life special in whatever way that he could.
My dad's awesome. He's like the ideal guy. I feel like every daughter says that, but he's like the ideal guy. My mom's such a lucky girl, you know? Always knows what to say, has good advice, he's a good cook. Like, I don't know, it's just like, he's a cool guy.
When I came out to them, my parents have always been super supportive. They were movers and shakers in the Detroit Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays chapter. And then when they moved to Arizona, they were very active in the Sun City chapter, which is, you know, a bunch of senior citizens talking about their children who are gay. And they were always, you know, leaders in that group of people and helping other people deal with, you know, all of the stuff associated with that.
My mom always knew she wanted a kid, but she didn't really know how to do it because she was a lesbian. My dad's gay, so he would kind of do the more, like, he would take me shopping, whereas my mom would be like, take me to a baseball game. The roles are pretty switched, and I think that also opens you up a lot, because just taking away like stereotypes of how a family's supposed to function. The main point is like it doesn't matter how the roles are covered as long as the roles are covered. Because I think I grew up with like more love than a lot of my friends that were raised in straight situations.
My dad died when I was about 8. My tata made me who I am today, and I loved him for that because he was the coolest dude I knew. He taught me how to comb my hair in the ducktail, taught me how to iron, said I always have to iron, always have to smell good, and just taught me stuff as life went. Taught me how to fight. I remember I got punched by a kid in the stomach, and I was more upset that the kid punched me because I thought he was my friend. I didn't understand why he was hitting me. And he was, I want you to recess, I want you to punch him. I don't care if you get in trouble, just punch him and let him know not to mess with you. I had to punch him. So he taught me how to be a man quick. It was unconventional. He knew he was old probably, didn't have a lot of time on this earth, so he wanted to get it in and quick and hard as much as he can.
Life it's double-sided. It could be sad and evil and depressing, but it could also be this wonderful exploration. And I basically told Everett when he was 1 year old, I wrote in his book that he has the entire universe to ponder. He's been given a gift of basically human life and intelligent thinking, and he can ponder the universe and do anything he wants in this life. And that's a gift that I've given him.
The Cambridge Dictionary defines fatherhood as the state or time of being a father. While efficient, that hardly describes what cultures and species across the globe consider fatherly. For that, might we recommend a class at the University of Arizona?
What is it like when a dad throws up the baby and the mom is back there going, and the baby's going,
In this classroom, students are putting Dad under a microscope.
We don't know of another course actually that's taught with a kind of perspective that brings in biology and different cultures and the sociology, and an evolutionary perspective brings that all together, and that's really what the wish was for this kind of a course.
There has to be a real benefit.
Really is kind of a little bit of an operation manual for being a human being.
It's a University of Arizona course called Men, Fatherhood, and Families, a Biocultural Perspective. It's taught by Dieter and Netzine Steckless, a husband and wife team of primate researchers, and it's so popular, it fills up every time it's offered.
I don't think that's worthy of a hoot yet.
92%, that's pretty good.
It's good? What do you think?
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
All right.
Very mild.
Well, mild, small hoot.
Dieter and Netzine draw from research across disciplines and species to explore what fatherhood is all about. The class covers everything from the social and evolutionary basis of dating to the role fathers play in different societies and periods of history. Students learn that a big piece of a father's job is passing on what he knows.
Part of it is learning simple social skills. What kind of a man you have to grow up to be. What is your responsibility? What is your role? Whether it's hunting in a hunting and gathering kind of society, or herding in a pastoralist society, or maybe you have to prepare to be a good warrior.
Set, go.
But across cultures, being warm, playful, and present seems to matter.
Because I'm on.
What you want to provide as a loud and clear, unambiguous, if you like, signal to your son or your daughter is that I'm present, I'm engaged, I'm supportive, I'm basically here to help you grow up.
That signal affects the body and the mind. Growing up without a father can impact emotional resilience, school performance, teen pregnancy rates, even how early a child enters puberty.
We've evolved, our brains have evolved, our physiology has evolved, our psychology has evolved to be attuned to whether or not there is a father figure present, especially early on in our development. And if a father figure isn't present, well, then there are certain consequences.
That trajectory begins with youngsters that are in the classroom, that age group, because they are making decisions either consciously or unconsciously about the kinds of relationships they have, about whether they're going to be long-term relationships, about whether they want to seek a long-term mate, and what are they looking for in a long-term mate, and all these things that are going through young minds just as part of developing into young adults.
Keep in mind, right, this very fact, when you enter into holy matrimony, your testosterone levels will plummet accordingly.
That's a good thing.
But it's a good thing.
The Steckelses also share stories from their own unusual family life, which includes 2 sons, Barent and Wolf.
At one point, it might have been after you got your degree at Princeton, that you started referring, we had children, very young children, you started referring to them as reproductive units.
Yes.
That's a very unusual way to refer to your children. One of the things that we decided early on is that we would take our kids everywhere where we went, in terms of travel. In retrospect, I think one of the best decisions we ever made.
And that was a firm rule, right?
A firm rule.
Even babies, they were 4 weeks old. I was on a plane with Wolf, I remember. So it was tough to do that. We recognized that it was these shared experiences, and every shared experience was a learning opportunity. And we knew that from working with primates, it was this caring relationship that mattered, but also these experiences that you can't create them, they occur.
The brothers have even joined their parents in the lecture hall. They've taken the fatherhood class themselves. It's made them philosophical about what it means to be a family.
I'd love to be that source of knowledge and wisdom that my dad is, just because he's ridiculously smart. But that seems like a very important factor, like being able to give information and always answer like that why question that little kids always have.
They'd always have us assign us to be a part of the team. Be like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys, do this or do this, and that'll help us, kind of thing. Or, it just made us all feel like one family unit overcoming something hard. And that just builds, family cohesion, and it also makes you feel, like you're loved and wanted and part of something bigger.
For Julie Nguyen, a recent UA grad, the class hit close to home for different reasons.
I myself grew up without a father present in my life, and I've always wondered what that kind of does to a person. This class has helped me to kind of forgive my own father. I can look at the social sciences aspect of it or the evolutionary biology aspect of it, and I can appreciate that, and I can at the same time step back and be okay with my father's absence.
The Steckelses hope that, whatever their reasons for taking the class, students come away with more awareness of the difference good fathering can make.
We're just always amazed that most of our life goes on in autopilot. And we're asking students, and we're asking those that we encounter, please just take it off autopilot for a little while and be aware of what you're doing, because it has a big impact. Use your free pass?
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. A good parent has to learn about sacrifice, as does anyone who follows their artistic dream as a way of making a living. Our next story takes a look at 3 local men who are both fathers and artists, to hear their reflections on staying true to their children as well as their art.
If you're an artist, you realize that you're a little bit different, you know what I mean? And society views you as different. Society views you until you make a name or money as a shiftless layabout.
It's not selfish, but you definitely, I guess, to really, really focus on something, you kind of shut out the outside world around you.
That's exactly what I told myself. It's like, you are a musician. That's what you love. That's what I want to be. I'll be a musician. I may not be rich. I may not be whatever, but that's what I want to be.
When I turn on, everything, the world to me, looks like something I could add something to it. I'd love to solve the world's problems. I can't do that, so maybe I could put a little Band-Aid on it, a little funny Band-Aid on it. It's like knowing that somebody out there is gonna have a little quirk or a little smile. I'm like, hey, there's down and what.
I'm Tom Wallbank. I'm a Tucson-based musician, blues musician. I've been playing for about 25 years. I'm an artist as well.
So, my name is Naïm Amour, and I have been living in Tucson for 17 years. I'm originally from Paris, France, and I'm a musician.
I got married when I was 27, and I wasn't thinking too much about how it would affect my life, but I was thinking, well, if we have kids, that's great.
When I turned 33, the question was not like, oh, I want to have a child. The question became all of a sudden, it's like, I hope in my life I will experience that, because the idea of never have a child, for me, seemed very sad all of a sudden.
Going back on it, I wish I was in a financial spot to have kids when I was 18 or 19 or 20, because now I'd have a little partner around. But the one thing that I have known, kids are expensive, man. You gotta be ready to dump what you're doing to really set down on the kid,
Everyone talks about the female biological clock, and everyone's like, oh, it's ticking. It's like, oh, you're getting older, you should have a baby, or it's gonna become dangerous. And it's like, first of all, smack. You know what I mean? I don't think it's you being in touch with your feminine side. It's just it's a male thing as well. If you're ready, you're ready.
What up, dude? Nice shirt.
I think it doesn't change you. It makes you become who you are even more. It brings out the person you are already, but under that new light.
Let's take that hill. Dun dun. You ready? You ready to go swimming?
Yeah, it's hot.
It's hot.
The sun's 1,000 degrees.
It is 1,000.
It brings out something that's like just that was there, but like was not expressed, like being like a parent, a father, or a mother. It's and it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting.
And a dolphin.
And a dolphin?
Your backpack?
Yeah. It's heavy.
Just to focus on another being is a healthy thing. It makes you grow as a person.
Anything you do, there's this little sponge that's gonna soak it up. What having kids taught me is just proper time management. Have enough time to turn everything off, to refresh the batteries, to be able to do fun stuff.
Yes. You just need to be productive, and in a way that's like not productive like I'm gonna make tons of things. No, it's just anything you decide to do has to be done, and you just don't. So you cut the inondation. C'est quand il y a de l'eau qui arrive de tous les côtés.
Non.
you cut the crap. Because, by the way, your hands are in crap quite a bit.
Gone are the days where, I'm going to the office. Here you go, honey. Here's the kids. I'm gone. It's a split job now. Fathers are responsible for a lot of, just half as it should be. Just half the raising, nurturing, and you got to change the diapers. You got to make the baby food. You got to do the homework and all that.
You weigh things of, is it really worth it for me to hang out till 2 in the morning with a possible hangover? You just prefer being in shape in the next day because otherwise it's hell,
Count them off.
1, 2, 3.
You adapt as a human being. You take care of business. You just take care of business, and how that impacts your artistic life is it focuses you. It's cool being a dad.
Temper down, solid baby.
Every project that I choose to embark on now, it's whether for financial gain or not, it's something I'm gonna be proud of and something that I want to, just pass on to my kid and make him, proud of his pop, make my family proud of me.
Yeah, be more productive, professionally, financially also. That's very strange.
Watching them progress, watching myself progress because of that, and that's, I wouldn't change it for the world.
You learn a lot about yourself. You address stuff in your life that makes you a better person that you maybe wouldn't have before.
L'araignée est un être bien singulier. Dans sa toile, il attend pour attraper les brigands. Attention, car l'araignée est là.
Ouais, super.
And now it's time for Favorite Places, our limited series featuring a local architect's thoughts about their favorite building, place, or space in southern Arizona. For Darcy Hazelbaker, it's a small patch of land in Barrio Viejo, just south of downtown Tucson. El Tiradito.
Por naturaleza somos enemigos de Dios. Toda cabeza está enferma y todo corazón doliente.
Predestined lovers and lost souls. Wishes and whispers of the past. Forbidden love and heartache. Lilies and forget-me-nots mingle with candles, sometimes still burning, and glowing images of St. Rita of Cassia and San Judas Tadeo. Tiny metal crosses are scattered in the desert dust, amidst frame photos and Matchbox hot rods painted orange. Nestled in Barrio Viejo along Main Avenue sits El Tiradito, a shrine for a sinner in a long ago sordid love triangle. I came upon the altar early one summer morning when I first moved to Tucson. At the time, my husband worked in the barrio, and I spent my days walking the dusty streets of Tucson's oldest neighborhood. The Sonoran row houses of the barrio define the urban boundary by pushing right up to the narrow sidewalk. Yet this inviting adobe altar sits far back on its lot. Like a sanctuary, the partially eroded adobe walls define a small room, a haven tucked away from the bustle of the street. I remember the strong white morning light on my back as I stood admiring the shrine that first morning, and my surprise to realize that in the nooks and crannies of the old adobe were meticulously folded and rolled bits of paper. The voids of the wall hold blessings and hope. I go back to reflect on my wishes and dreams. I marvel at the sense of community this shrine embodies. So many prayers, painstakingly written and folded and left here, I fight the voyeuristic urge to read messages that have fallen from the walls. I enjoy the ritual of the place, the act of manifesting a thought into physical form and placing it within this tactile wall with whatever faith one holds. Will a flawed sinner who died here more than 100 years ago help one realize that dream or answer that prayer? Tucson is a spiritual place, and El Tiradito one of its most magical spaces.
Share your favorite place on the Arizona Illustrated page at azpm.org. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, an Arizona Illustrated 4th of July special, Becoming an American on Independence Day. Flags for the Flagless, Tucson in July of 1776, and one of Tucson's favorite places, the Arizona Inn. I'm Tom McNamara. Thanks for watching and see you next week.